At this time, I will call tonight's meeting to order. Kathleen Allen. Here. James Bell. Here. Amy Callan. Here. Brian Chetney. Here. Tom Chapa.
Here.
Brandon Legault. Samuel Tripp.
Here.
Elise Manicha. If you would all stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. For tonight's meeting, we're going to move the superintendent's report to the beginning of the meeting. It is the August graduates recognition tonight. I'll call your name if you could come up to the bulkhead and meet the president, the superintendent, the principal of the high school, and Heidi Sweeney, executive director of personnel and secondary education. And we will do that now.
Wherever you want to be. We tried to configure it one way.
We did. And after you get your picture taken individually, if you would stick around for a little bit so we can get a group photo, and then we have cupcakes and water also. First, could we have Letitia Cologne, please?
Want to come in the middle?
Congratulations.
Next is Frederick Gonzalez. Next is Seth Partridge.
This is exciting. It's exciting. Congratulations, Seth. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Next was Kaylee Palmetier, but she could not make it tonight. Jordan Sanders.
Congratulations, Jordan.
And then we have Hunter Smith.
Congratulations, Hunter.
Wait a minute.
Now if I can have all the graduates back up so we can take a group photo. Yeah.
How do you want us
Do you want the chairs
to?
in
Yeah,
front?
let's see somebody.
Okay.
There's 5. Yeah.
5 chairs. Okay.
We're done after this.
All right, ready?
I'm gonna look for the newspaper. One, two, three.
Awesome job.
And now we would like to take a couple minutes. We would just like to offer you some cupcakes, some water. There's coffee over in the corner if anybody's interested. And don't be shy, please.
Oh, I have to stop it. I'm so proud of you. Have a cupcake.
No,
What are you doing? Don't be shy. There's cupcakes. You did do your work.
I know, you got to.
That's okay. Brian graduates. George, nice job.
Chocolate or white?
I want a quarter pounder.
You didn't smell that 3 hours later.
She did. She asked me if we were all eating McDonald's when they were back.
Thank you.
You're not a part of this crew. It was really
I took pride with that.
like my job. I like my
Since you graduated in this, really seriously. What's she doing?
I thought you were going in for a cupcake.
Yeah, just right on the public
Oh, that is cute.
It's me here. Good, how are you? Can I sneak around for you? I know, it's so much fun.
Yeah, thank you. That was a house.
Not that anyone's there.
Great to see that, please.
And out of the classroom and perhaps someplace where they're accepted. Being successful.
Or are they here?
How are you?
Thank you.
I like it.
That's the one.
I'm not in your head, right? Like, you don't want my hair. Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're fine.
You need to come over. You need to come over and check the office out.
I was there yesterday, and I looked like you weren't there. You were out in the building.
They put the glass petitions up today. They put furniture in. Glasses up. Gibby said glasses up. Glasses up. Yeah, but he said-
I didn't.
Nothing out of the ordinary.
Probably not what you should tell them.
No, yeah, no. All the
I used to
other-
like elementary kids, but now I like.
This is a different setup.
It's great to have these playing.
Kind of a fun setup.
Okay. Now we're going to return to the agenda, and it is the floor to the public. We have one speaker, Tom DeCastro.
All right, if I come up here. Sorry about my back. This whole charade has gone far enough, and it's time that we let everybody know exactly what's going on. So I'll start by reading school policy, which says very simply, in a small city school district, board members may not hold any city office other than that of police officer or firefighter. The city says no person shall hold at the same time the office of member of the Board of Education in any city office other than as a policeman or fireman. Amy, do you think Jim is in violation? No, I would like to have you answer because you've been putting this off since March.
I haven't been putting it off. I think we've been clear that we put it in the hands of our lawyer, their district lawyer, and that's who's answering those questions for us.
Brian, do you think he's in violation?
I can't really speak on behalf of the district.
No, I'm asking you to speak on behalf of you.
I'm not speaking on behalf of anything, the lawyer's speaking on behalf of it. That's how it's left. I mean, I know we've met with the lawyer, he's advised us, he's handling it. I believe he told us he's handling all questions.
Jim, are you in violation?
I again would refer to the lawyer.
You want another one, Sam?
No.
Okay. what I have in my hand, and for anybody that might want to have a copy of it, is a memorandum from the city clerk. The top part of the paper says, the Oswego Code Enforcement Department, William J. Barlow Jr., Mayor, James R. Bell, Code Enforcement Director / Permit Administrator. Now that tells me he's in violation. Now you can call it whatever you want, but definitely in violation. And it should have been taken care of immediately. You have said before, Amy, the main job of this Board of Education is to live by our school policy. And you are not defending it. You have not made it part of any one of the meetings. The only one that has is me. And I would expect, with the information I just gave you, that by tomorrow morning, you will be receiving Jim Bell's resignation. Otherwise, how can you people face your families, face the public? This is ridiculous.
Next on the agenda is unfinished business, Board of Education goals.
Okay, so I'm not sure that everybody has the copy. I know you provided a copy for everybody at the last board.
I did not really have this.
So, but I mean, I forwarded them to everybody by email, I think. More than that, I think it was like the middle of September, so more than 2 weeks ago. So obviously, everybody, I think it's had time to look over them. So, I mean, what I wanted to do was walk through them or talk through them, and if anybody has any objections or changes or thoughts, or, because I got zero feedback through my email, so just wondering where we were all at. Whoever wants to start. Just so everybody's clear, according to New York State School Board, what we are supposed to do as a board is come up with district goals. And not just we as a Oswego City School District, but we as in school boards across New York State. So the schedule that they set for us, suggested schedule, is that during the summer, we meet in a workshop and we create district goals, between 3 to 5 district goals of where we see the district going in that, upcoming school year. So during the workshop, the board is to, along with the superintendent, come up with the goals of where we want to go and come up with measurements where we can make sure that we're meeting our goals as the year. Then at the mid-year, we're supposed to look at the goals and see how are we doing as far as the district, and then at the end of the year, we revisit them again. And that's just checks and balances so that school districts are accomplishing what they set out to accomplish from day one. Underneath the district goals, then the superintendent creates his superintendent's goals, and those follow right up into the district goals that were created by the board. So we're just slightly behind schedule, which is why I asked to have this on the unfinished business so that we can get this buttoned up and get these posted, and everybody knows, that the direction that we collectively as a board are headed in. So that's kind of the...
Amy, as I review these, I think they're pretty much what we talked about in our workshop, the set goals. I would recommend that if no one else has a problem, we accept these as our goal, and then we charge the superintendent to resubmit his goals to coincide with what if the rest of the board is fine with that.
I mean, if everybody wants to go around, we can give everybody a chance to speak. Kathleen?
I'm good, I'm in agreement with Sam.
Yeah, I didn't know if we'd have a chance to get together and, and discuss again like we did, because I thought the workshop laid out a lot and helped a lot in getting that. But if this is procedurally great, I think we would do that and then bounce it back to Dean, and then we would work towards that. But I don't know what the best course is to do that from here.
Tom, do you have any objection to what you have here?
No, I don't have any, no.
Anything you think we should add?
No, can I have,
I'm just thinking that to save time in another meeting or two, if we're happy with this, if it's what we want, then let's accept them and have Dean set his goals to help us achieve these.
okay. I mean,
Unless you've got something you want to add.
No, I just didn't know in terms of the process, because I know we set it forth, then Dean comes forth, then we come back and just kind of dial them, fine tune them, to where we want them to be, as opposed to this is that, how many times, will we do this, then we'll come back with that, you'll present again, Dean?
Well,
I would suggest.
ideally, what we talked about in our first goals workshop, ideally the way it would work is we would have created these together, and then I would create my goals to fill in and support the district goals, and so that's what you're talking about. The only difference in my understanding from what you're talking about right now is, I thought at the first goals meeting, the first board goals meeting, there was an interest because Kathleen wasn't there, but to come back and edit them together.
Right. Well,
And then I can edit mine. I submitted mine because they were due.
Right.
But certainly I can edit them because they should be aligned to these.
Right. Well, I think to what Sam has said, I mean, if I guess my intentions is after we had the meeting, yes, and unfortunately Kathleen was unable to make the meeting, but I created these based on the discussion that we had, the notes that we took, and then I sent them out to everybody with an email attached saying, if you have any concerns, if you want to change anything, if you, any sort of feedback, then I can change it, and then that kind of moves the process along rather than us, going on another week or another 2 weeks, and it's already been over 2 weeks since I sent that email out, so I guess I took no news is good news. When I didn't hear anything back, I thought, okay, everybody must be good with the way that the goals were, so that's,
I'm good with that. I just did from here, was the process from here.
Right.
We got that, I'm great with that, and just like you're
Well,
saying.
if there's not going to be another workshop to work on goals, and then what I'll do is I will take these goals and I'll revise mine and submit them to the board, so that they're more aligned with this, which is what we agreed that we would do in August.
That's, just a guide for us.
what do you guys, Brian? What do
I think that's exactly what we're looking for.
you?
Yeah, satisfied.
In all fairness, though, I have to say that I didn't read the draft that Amy put out as critically as I would have, because I was thinking there would be another meeting
It
where
was
they
a
would
draft until we decided tonight that it's no longer a draft,
Right.
it's an actual
Right.
document.
Right.
There was no sense you wasting your time if
Right.
we were going to meet again and change something. So Now
Exactly.
that it's no longer a draft, it's a document,
Right.
it'll work.
Can I just suggest in the future that we start the process earlier?
Right.
That, on both our fronts, so we get there.
Absolutely, and that was, if you remember back in the very, very beginning, that's what I was saying, one of our very first meetings as this new board, was let's get dates on the calendar so that what just happened doesn't happen. If we know going into a new year that we have set goals, goal-setting workshop dates set ahead of time, and then, then they're done, then we're done, so that come September 15th, deans are in, and we're all,
I don't
We're all
have to
like-
speculate.
Right.
we're
What it
already
is.
set. So I think that going forward, that we just make sure that we do that, we have those dates already blocked out, after the new board members get elected on, really, just start nailing that out, so. I think that sounds good. So if there's no, then we're good, so we'll adopt these.
Yeah.
I think we will, right?
No,
I was going to clarify with the board members, do you want me to amend the agenda tonight, to vote on it tonight, or are you telling me to put it on the agenda for next board meeting as well?
I'd rather vote on them tonight if we're all good.
Yeah, just moving forward
just
to allow Dean to
Yes,
do what he's
keep doing
doing.
it.
Yeah.
And I'll put it under Board of Education, and we'll review that when we get there.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Next on the agenda is, on the unfinished business, survey discussion.
Yes. Carrie and I have been working on taking a look at the idea of doing a survey. There's been a lot of talk about doing a survey. On the New York State Education Department website, there are a list of approved companies that do valid and reliable surveys like the things that we've been talking about. There are 2 companies that are on the New York State approved list right now. One is called K-12 Insight, and one of them is called PLC Associates. And we have some history and background using both of those companies for different purposes. At the time, one of the times was during accountability, when we did a survey that was staff, parents, and students. And actually, they were both under accountability. One before I was at central office, and one the summer when I first came in. So we've reached out to both of those companies. We think that one is more adaptable than the other, but we're going to do conference calls with both of those companies to see if they can create something that's just right for us, and then we'll continue to report back on that and
Dean, are
get
either
that
one of
locked up.
them, either one of them Central New York, or where are they from?
Yeah, one is located in Pittsburgh, New York, is Pittsburgh and Rochester, as well as Florida. There's an office in Florida, and I'm not sure where the other one is.
I'm drawing a blank. It might be California.
And
But
with
we
those,
can-
do they, like, how, like, do you give them the, like, the type of questions that you want to ask, and then they generate the questions, or how does that
They
process
generate
work?
everything so that it's all valid and reliable.
Mhm.
They also correlate and report back the
Okay,
data,
that was my next question.
because otherwise we'd need somebody to
Right.
do that.
But they craft, you tell them,
What we're looking for.
yeah, the information that you're looking for,
And
and then they craft the
They
question
craft
to.
the survey
Right,
and distribute it,
yeah.
and then collect and collate in a valid and reliable way, and then report out the reports so that we can have data.
Okay, that's great.
So we're gonna, we've only been working on this for a week or so, so we'll continue to report out until we have something that we like.
If they're gonna build a survey on information we give what we're looking for, that alleviates one of my concerns.
Yes.
As to the Central New
And
York,
mine.
because what's relevant to people in Central New York
Oh, yeah.
may not be relevant to California.
Yeah,
So,
you got, and that's why I led with both of these companies on the New York State Education Department approved list of vendors for school-based surveys. And I think that's important, and I talked before about the need to have a valid and reliable source, so that we're not just generating some survey.
I mean,
Put
in
it
order,
out
What kind of cost?
in order
What
to,
kind of cost?
It's expensive, be in the teens of thousands. And I think the more individualized we become, the more we craft it, probably the more it'll cost. But we'll have those conversations, and we'll weigh the.
Like, they'll be able to give us, like, different, I guess, packages, if you will, where we can look at them and be like, this fits our, you know.
We probably don't need a $24,000 survey, but we might generate the data we want from a $12,000 survey.
Right.
are you going to do your research and come back with a recommendation?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yep.
And I assume part of that research will be checking
Cost.
references?
Yes.
Cost also.
Well, we've used both of these companies, so we know the type of, we know that they're vouched for. We are one of the districts that use them. There's a whole list of districts that have used those companies. But what's good is that they're going to generate data for us that's valid, and that's independent and not biased at all.
Mhm.
And
So we want.
so we'll report out on a recommendation, and we'll probably present both companies and the pros and cons and cost, and then decide on which one we think will do what it is that we want.
And what about like a timeline? Do they, have they given you any indication, like once a decision is made, like how long this whole process takes? Like when we think we would distribute?
Not really, but one of the things that we believe is in our favor right now is that supply and demand. Carrie and I had this conversation again today, and that when districts were in accountability under the New York State Education Department, there was a high demand because there were requirements at that time to do parent and student and staff surveys. So there was a lot of demand for their work. Well, now we don't have accountability at the level that the state had then. We're hoping they're hungrier. for our business.
When was the last time that we actually?
2015.
15.
Yep. Yep. When the district and the high school and FITU were in accountability.
And what was the intent, what were they looking for in that survey? Do you know what
Well,
the criteria was?
I talked a little bit about 2 weeks ago about the DTSDE rubric for school improvement, which is the New York State Education Department standard for improving schools. And 2 of the areas in there are parent engagement. And so we're looking for parent engagement. We're looking for feedback from parents. There's also one, an element of the rubric around student engagement and feedback from students. And I think we talked a little bit about when the state education department came into the high school, they required focus groups of students and staff. And also they wanted to know what staff thought about what was happening, receive their feedback as well.
So those surveys actually went out to parents and students as well?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Parents, students, and staff.
And were they
To get a
administered-
kind of a 360 snapshot.
Were they administered electronically on paper, or how was it
They're
administered?
electronic.
Just purely electronic?
Yeah. The only other option, and it's an option that we haven't explored yet, is to engage with a university like U of R, who has a school of education and it's a research-based institution that does a lot of survey creation and distribution for doctoral dissertations and things like that. If we could partner with an organization like that, we may be able to save some money.
How about
But
in Oswego State, is that an option?
No.
Or no?
Could we pull them in to have
Sure.
as a sample? I mean, because we
Yep.
have the 3, and then we could compare across the board.
Or SU would be another choice, because they're doctoral granting institutions where there's research-based schools of education. So they would have that same level of credibility.
So do you
And they
think-
would have internal review boards. So there would be some assurance that the work that they were doing in our district was approved by a board that approves the research so that there is no harm done to anyone.
And as far as, so do you think our next meeting you'll have this information, or?
I think we'll have a lot more information at the next meeting. We might be not at a place where we want to make recommendations to you.
It'll take a bit to
Yeah.
craft
Craft
what it
we're
is
looking
that we
for.
want, and then for them to price that.
Exactly.
Right.
And we need to find folks at SU or U of R that we want to reach out to.
What
We
is
have
the intent
contact
of it?
people.
What
Well,
is
there's
the-
just been a lot
what
of
is the
talk
goal
on
of
the
it,
board over
the
the last
intent?
year or so to do surveys of, just a survey, just to
I
kind
think it
of
would
take the
focus
temperature.
Yeah.
the temperature of the culture and
Right.
climate.
And the reason that I've
I mean, I guess
contin-
I would like to see that written out, what the actual goal is before we decide to spend.
I think that will be
Oh,
a
yeah,
process.
that's all the
That'll
process,
that'll be
yeah.
part
Right,
of
so
the
who's
process.
gonna do that? Who's gonna create the goals? Or the intent of that survey?
I think we'll continue to have these conversations till we land on a spot that we're all comfortable with.
I think you have to talk to the company to see what they could offer.
Right.
And maybe they can't offer that information, or maybe there's
And the
a
only-
No,
distinctive
but I
way
think
to
you have
get
to,
it.
I mean, you have to have some kind of an idea. You can't just call a company and say,
Right.
we wanna do a
Yeah.
survey.
But my
You have to
guess-
have
I
a
think
goal,
we would
and
ask
tell
the
them,
standard,
this is what
what's
we
the
wanna
industry
find out.
standard for
So
what
that's what I'm
schools do
asking.
with surveys today?
Right, and I'm assuming that they would already, doing surveys like this, would have categories. They'd say,
Sure.
okay, we're looking for climate, we're looking for
Right.
culture, we're looking for engagement. And
Right.
so they would be crafted, they would dial more into what we're looking for. So through the conversations we would have, we'd be able to dial that whole thing in.
Right, and I think that the one piece that I continue to be cautious of, and that's why I think a state ed approved vendor is a really good choice, is that we have to be very careful that we don't go toward evaluation. We can't have teachers evaluating principals, we don't want parents evaluating teachers. So it has to be non-evaluative, it has to be data gathering. And
Well, I
and
think
that's what a
culture and
vendor can
climate
do
is a-
for us.
That's a good way to put it,
Yeah.
that culture and climate, that isn't evaluative, that's truly taking the temperature of
Right.
the climate in the workplace.
It's feedback, yeah.
Anybody have any other questions?
We'll just continue to dig into it and just report back as we make progress.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Next is the Oswego County School Boards Association membership. I just need a consensus from the board to
Pay the
pay
dues.
for the membership.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Nancy, they charged us in the past. I don't ever remember us getting a bill from them.
Well, I think
Something-
the way it was explained to me was that years ago, there was a small dues to help defray the cost of like the different presentations, like the Randy Griffin did that I just went to last week. And there's the one on opioid addiction, which is, I forget what I said, November. And then there was the association, the board, if you will, kind of dissolved. And then when they came back to like rejuvenate Oswego County School Board Association, they didn't charge because it was like, okay, is this something people are going to catch on to and be a part of? And now that it has, they're like, okay, now we need to reinstitute the deals.
Wonder who was paying the bills before they started charging.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not
I
sure.
mean, they were providing programs.
Yes.
Somebody was.
Yeah, so somebody was paying footing the bill. I'm not sure who. So, but no, they do a good job.
I haven't seen it in 4 years.
Yeah, it's the first time I
Yeah.
believe I've
That
seen
gap.
it.
Right. Yeah. That's how it was
Unless it
explained.
was part of our BOCES charge, it goes into, because that's just really separate from BOCES too.
Yeah. It's an association that it gets smaller and smaller, and we get closer to your board.
Right.
And this is the closest association to you.
Yes. Yeah.
Do I have the approval of the board?
Yeah, we're not going on that tonight? Or you just?
You don't have to vote on it, it's just,
Just need the okay to write the check.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for Nancy. We don't have to do anything.
No, we don't have to vote on it.
Okay.
I just need to only just approve Jenna's expenditure.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the Board of Education. At this time, if I could ask the board for a motion to amend the agenda to add the resolution to vote on the 2018-19 board goals. Could I have a motion, please?
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Item A, agreement between Octa 2 and the Oswego City School District. If I could have a motion? Or excuse me, any discussion? Could I have a motion, please? Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next is B, that the Board of Education approve the 2018-19 Board of Education goals. Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We will then move to the consent agenda, which includes minutes of the regular Board of Education meeting of September 18, 2018, the minutes of the Special Education Board meeting of September 25, 2018, the Special Education Report, the monthly budget status report, and the Oswego City School District financial report, June 2018. If I could have a motion, please? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Can we go back to 8, which is committee discussion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I did skip over that. Next is committee discussion.
So I know we had, the facilities had a meeting, and I know the audit committee had a meeting.
Yep,
right?
facilities had,
Where
one
we're
audit had.
Yeah. New facilities, I'll do audit.
Okay. Facilities were just about there, next door at the high school. 6A is done. 6B is just waiting on the windows, which are a little ways out, but doors are in, and I believe the doors are at the fab shop before they fit in the frames, but the ceiling grid is in, Pat told me, the flooring is in, it's been painted, so it's starting. The glass wall partitions are in as well, so it's starting to come together. If you had to put a percentage on it, what would you say, Pat?
I think we're at 85%.
85%? Yeah. So it's very exciting, because I don't know, it's really nice to do, and I'm sure everybody can't wait to utilize it.
It's going to be really nice when it's done.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that, in the audit committee, we met last Wednesday, I think it was. Nancy, Dean, myself, Lisa Kimball was our community rep, and the Bonadeo company. Basically, all it was is we reviewed the charter, and we made a few changes to the charter, and we accepted the charter, and set the next meeting for tomorrow.
Now, don't we have to have the board as a whole approve the charter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that will
What I'm
be-
going to do, Amy, is I have some edits that I have to do, so I'm going to put those edits into the charter, bring them back to the audit committee, so that they can say, yep, this is what we want, and then it's going to come back to the board.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
And tomorrow is the external audit report for the audit committee. And after that, once the audit committee approves that, then the auditor is going to come back and present to the full board.
Oh, great.
Any other items, Mr. Tripp?
No, it's good.
We will turn the agenda over to Carrie Class for curriculum.
A is the middle school hands-on history club, a trip to New York City. The trip will take place on March 30th and March 31st. That's a Saturday and a Sunday. They'll be going to New York City to visit different venues. The agenda is attached. They're using Jump Street to help guide them through the city. And there will be no cost to the district. There will be fundraising in order to help students pay for the costs.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move
Second?
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
E is a new course approval for the high school. Mr. Tom Caswell, a social studies teacher, is looking to add a course which will be 19th century American history and America in the 20th and 21st century. Each course is a semester, a full semester, and 3 credits will be awarded through Cayuga Community College, which really helps with the dual enrollment.
Any discussion?
Yeah, are those credits only, those credits, college credits, are they only good at Hugo, or are they transferable to other schools, or how's that?
They're transferable, they transfer to all the SUNY schools,
Okay.
and then private schools tend to do a review and determine whether or not they give direct credit or maybe elective credit.
Thank you.
And I was just curious, what years, the junior, senior, or were these classes available to?
imagine
So
juniors,
juniors and
senior
seniors.
level.
Could I have a motion, please? Brian, second?
Second.
Sam? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, next is approval for the girls' hockey team to combine with Colton and Hannibal. This has been happening for 6 years now, and the three cities have gathered the girls' hockey team in order to, so that they can play. Field the team.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And then D, going right along with it, is approval for the girls' varsity hockey team to then travel December 15th and 16th up to Saranac Lake to play Saturday night against Saranac Classic. They've combined also, and then Franklin Academy in Malone the following day.
Any discussion? Motion?
Make motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we will turn the agenda of personnel over to Dr. Sweeney.
A, professional staff retirement. This is an amendment for Shirley Hadley. She had previously put in for a retirement date that was a little bit later in the fall, and she's amended that to be effective September 21st, 2018.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
B, professional staff recommendation, resignation for Tiffany Pauline. She was our fall-winter varsity cheerleading coach, and due to some changes in her life, she's decided that she can't continue with the program and the coaching status, but she is planning to apply to volunteer, so she'll still be involved in the program.
Any discussion?
Do we have someone, what'll happen to that program in terms of taking?
Farther down the road.
Yeah, 2 or 3
We're gonna
times.
get to
Okay.
it in just a minute.
Thank you, I'm good.
Could I have a motion, please?
Move it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
C, extra compensatory recommendations for Fitchie Park School. These are the 3 curriculum coordinators as part of the Leader in Need grant that Fitchie Park has, and we've seen these the last couple of years.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
D, extra compensatory position for tutors. We'll be adding some of our content area tutors probably over the next few board meetings, so you'll see them trickling in. They're working in our alternative program in high school.
Any discussion? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
E, extra compensatory recommendation for Lake School, boys and girls intramurals. Freddie Donabella is doing both at the stipend.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
F, extra compensatory recommendations for fall sports. These are our security supervisor positions. It is part of the civil service bargaining unit, so they do go first to our 2 security officers for the school district. But on nights that they can't attend, or perhaps Rhonda or Pat or I can't attend, then Rhonda has some choices to make sure that at the events where there is sometimes a larger crowd or a larger student section, there's an adult there.
And that's the role they play, just to be in the.
Yes, and Rhonda is going to do some expectation. She'll have a meeting with the group and then she'll create a schedule.
Dr. Sweeney, is this, you mentioned CSEA, is this position in their contract or is it in the Oct contract?
The supervisor position is in civil service. So we put this out as an extra comp to all bargaining units to see if there were anyone else who might be interested, given we really only have Mark and Mike, and sometimes their schedules don't allow them to attend everything that we have going on.
Could I have a motion, please?
Move it.
Second?
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
G, extra compensatory recommendation, the same thing but for our winter season.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
H, extra compensatory recommendation, fall coach. So this is the replacement for Kathleen Coletti, is coming in to be the remainder of the season for the varsity cheerleading coach.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
And I, extra compensatory recommendation for winter, 2 coaches, varsity cheerleading, Kathleen Coletti again, and modified wrestling assistant coach, Sean Nate.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
J, extracurricular volunteer recommendations. These are for some athletic sports volunteers as needed.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
K, support staff recommendations, 2 resignations in food service. Miley Cologne at Fitchie and Diana Davis at Kingsbury.
Any questions? Motion? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
L, support staff recommendation, leave of absence. Nancy Bensky, custodial worker at Riley. She is now probationary in the second year.
Any questions? Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
M, support staff recommendation, probationary appointment, Kathleen Hargrave for teacher aide part-time at Riley.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
N, temporary staff recommendation. This is to amend Susan DeBlasi's original effective date, so we're moving it back a couple of weeks from 4/30 to 4/18.
Any questions?
Yeah, is this just, I mean, 6/30/18 is obviously gone. So is this
that-
just so she can be paid for that extra time?
Correct.
Okay.
Could I have a motion,
I'll
please?
move
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
And O are substitute and temporary employees.
Any questions? Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next, with finance with Nancy Squires.
A is a memorandum of understanding with Ruth Taylor. This is for remediation at the Community Christian School for literacy, $26 an hour, not to exceed $3,328. This is to be paid from Title I, Part A.
Any questions? Motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
B is another memorandum of understanding from Ruth Taylor. This is for instructional coach for the Community Christian School at a rate of $26 an hour, not to exceed $1,062, and this is to be paid from Title IIA, Part A.
Any questions? Motion? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
C is another memorandum of understanding with Chris Walsh. This is for consultant services for new teachers and veteran teacher support. The daily fee is $1,440.45, not to exceed $14,405. And it says that funds are budgeted under a city COSER. It is to be, the money is being paid from a COSER, but it is being paid from Title I.
Any questions?
Yeah, just why are these MOUs instead of contracts?
With the Christian school?
Mostly anything that is paid from a grant fund is usually an MOU.
We get the money from the state, and we're kind of like holders of the money. It's not really a contract. We're not engaging with Community Christian. We're just giving them the money they put aside from the title funding. So it's not like they're contracting work from us. They're just saying, we know you're holding our money, and this is how we want to spend it.
Sam, you might remember
We're like
that.
bankers.
We are, it's a flow through
We're holding
service.
out.
It's a flow.
When we start, we're only
Yeah, I was
doing
gonna
it.
say, no one's gonna make
The
it.
bankers
No, we
should
make
start
them.
later in the day.
If you remember when we had a title review, we had an audit by New York State for title funds, and they came and they audited us. And at that point, this was in 2014 or 15, they indicated that we needed to have MOUs with service providers for people that were receiving services using federal or New York State funds through MOUs. And so we see it at Community Christian, we see it at Trinity.
Trying to think with those,
And they can hire whoever they want, and then we have to engage with them through an MOU to guarantee payment for the service that they want.
with like Ludden and Rhymes and those schools in Syracuse, were those MOUs where we paid for?
No, that's different. That's for the non-resident tuition bills that we
That's actual
either
billing.
give to them or we have to pay for our students.
Okay.
It's all
I think it's
regulated.
clear.
It's clear, it's confusing. It is confusing.
They can't receive the funds directly, so that's why we have to contract.
We're the holding house for Title I funds for Community Christian, Trinity, and so they purchase things through the percentage of those title monies that we get. We're entitled, we're obligated to give them a portion. And we also inspect what they do with it and have a right to go in there and see how our things are going.
How about supplies? Can they buy supplies through BOCES, or do they have to buy them through, we purchase them through BOCES?
I don't know about supplies, but I know that they can buy technology with title funds, for example, if they wanted to equip a classroom with computers with their allocation or a portion of the purchase from the money that we give. And they have to account for it too in their auditing procedures too. like when Title I was here and I was assistant superintendent, we did site visits to Trinity and Community Christian. We went right in and we overlaid our books and the things that they indicated they would buy with their Title I funds, for example, and we looked for those materials there to show that there's some accountability for the money that we transfer over, that they're actually purchasing either support and staffing or materials.
So basically, the best way, the easy way to explain it is just like they said. So we're holding the money, they have a percentage that's kind of earmarked for them. Then they say, these are the ways we want to spend our money, and then we pay the people that they wanted to hire.
Right.
Trinity wanted to use Chris Walsh, we use her as well. And so they communicate that through the elementary curriculum office and finance. And it's an MOU, she's an independent contractor, although she also works for SUNY, she also works for us. Yeah, we did the same thing with Linda Stumer, as you recall.
Could I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
D is a memorandum of agreement between Cayuga Community College and the Oswego City School District. This is to award college credits for college courses taught in the secondary school setting to qualified high school students, and this is at no cost to the district.
Any questions? Motion?
Move it.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
E is a contract with Lives in the Balance. This is for 30 hours of instruction and consultation at $500 per hour, not to exceed $15,000. This is to be paid for from Title IV. This is a program that is based on the Lost at School to identify students with social emotional issues that have lagging skills.
So this goes to the school improvement plan for trauma-informed classrooms. This is the Ross Green work. And this is bringing somebody from Ross Green Associates, which is Lives in the Balance company. This part of this initiative also spilled into the county, as we reported on a couple weeks ago. In the superintendent's conference day in November, we're hosting the Ross Green group here.
And this is part of the training that we talked about at the last meeting, right? That where the leaders are, the trainers here are teaching our teachers how to do the assessment.
Yes, this is, it's actually going to be done through a webinar. The consultant will be working with a team of 10 at the elementary level and then another team of 10 at the secondary level, two separate teams. But it will be done through a webinar. They'll teach them a part of the data gathering, and then they'll let them go try it, and then they'll come back at another meeting and go over the results and how they continue on with each chunk of this process. And so they'll get a chance to try it and give feedback.
Could I have a motion? Ready? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
F is an agreement with AmeriCorps. This is for one AmeriCorps member for 450 hours for Frederick Layton School. And the funds have been budgeted in the contractual account for Layton in the amount of $1,379.
Any discussion? Could I have a motion, please? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
G is a contract with Oswego County Opportunities, RHY. This is for the runaway homeless youth specialist, and it is to be paid from a variety of federal grants, along with $18,825 from the general fund.
Any questions?
Back to the state.
Motion?
Move it.
Second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we'll move to the student representative discussion. Did you have any items tonight?
but basically through the high school we just had our whole spirit week and pep rally as well as homecoming dance, which were all pretty big success school-wide.
Great. And next would be items from the board. Would any members have items tonight?
I just had a couple things that like I talked to, or I stated before, the Oswego County School Board Association put on a fantastic presentation that Randy Griffin did. It was so interesting. It was on school safety and security, and man, was it eye-opening. It was really awesome. So there was a couple other superintendents, a couple other board members from other in Oswego County, and then Jim Jackson came with me, which was great to have him there from his perspective. And I asked Donna, she sent us all the slideshow of what Randy did in this presentation. It was far more interactive. He's a great speaker, and really there was dialogue throughout the whole thing. It was very, very interesting, and I think that I know I learned a ton, and I would love to share it with the rest of you guys, because I think it was really great. I mean, he did a fantastic job of, I'll just get like, I mean, it was like I couldn't stop talking about it after I went to him, because I was like, oh my gosh, so many things that I think about, like he brought up, and so many things I've never thought about, he brought up, and it was like, wow, this is really, everybody needs to hear this. But I mean, he talked about stuff like, everything you do in preparing for, a disaster, whether it's a fire or a school shooting or whatever. He's like, you need to practice it. And everybody's like, well, yeah, we do fire drills. And he's like, well, how many of you have done 2 fire drills in one day? And everybody's like, oh, yeah, we've done that. And he goes, so what'd that teach you? And everybody's like, not really sure. And he's like, you should have a takeaway from every single thing that you do. He's like, what if, if he goes, basically the way that we, not just we Oswego, we, nationwide, he's like, we're training them to be robots. They're walking the same path, they're going down the same stairs, they're going to the same place. He's like, what if they can't go down those stairs? What if, do you ever practice a different way? And it was just like, wow, that makes so much sense.
Yeah, they come in and they block and exit, and they say, what are you gonna do?
And so, I mean, I think those kind of things are so important, because he's like, we need to be teaching kids to be aware of their surroundings. He's like, and this transcends outside of the school. He goes, then they're at a mall, or they're, at a friend's house, or they're wherever, and now they're trained to always be thinking about, how do I get out of here? He's like, it's changing your way of thinking, and he just brought up so many valuable points, and he really stressed a lot about, all hands on deck, and everybody, every single person in the entire district plays a role, and that everybody's information and health, everybody should be equally knowledgeable on what the process is. And it was great that Jim was there, because he's like, oh my gosh, like I don't really know a lot of this stuff. So I was like, okay, great point. Here's him. He's saying he doesn't know that much. So I'm like, okay, I just think that it was just great, and I would just love to share it, pass it out to everybody. I know Jim got a copy of the slideshow too, but I just can't speak highly enough, especially in light of, the present day society, that it's really important for us to be proactive in that arena. And kind of going along with that, I know that we have, it's policy 5680 is what I have here, a safety committee, and it talks about that. Who's on the safety committee? Do you know?
On the policy committee?
Safety.
No,
Safety. Oh, safety.
At the building level, it's principal. Every building has a safety committee. And so it'd be principal, it'd be custodian, it'd be nurse, it'd be a support staff members, a variety of teachers. The composition is probably different in every building. I'm speaking from Minetto's perspective. And then there's a district level committee, and that stands.
So we haven't met as a group yet. What my plan is to reach out to each of the individual school and department safety committees and ask for 2 members to be on the district committee, and then to start meeting as a group I also have Connie Wallace, who is from NYSER, who sits on a lot of the safety committees from an insurance perspective. And she also has a lot of knowledge on that. So that's going to be coming up soon.
Okay, I mean, I just think going, especially like I said, I wish more of us were there because it was, I think it's really important. And then that just kind of prompted me to look through our policies and be like, huh, I'm not even really, especially like I said, because it was unclear when you were there, like what do we do? Which prompted me to look up the, what our policy was on it, because I really didn't know. And I know that it says, you're supposed to meet so many times a year, but I just think it's really important to make sure that everybody has the same, the same mindset, the same procedures, the same. And then if we could hear back on that, I think that would be great.
One thing we did in the spring that you'll remember us me reporting out on is we put together, I asked for a district-wide safety and security task force, and that they met multiple times. I know that Randy came to a couple of those meetings, and the report from that group is going to inform the district team, where we reviewed a lot of the things we've been doing. We've been doing a lot of safety and security enhancements over the last 3 years. But we wanted another. We brought Randy and OPD into an admin council meeting, and we had a roundtable discussion for a couple hours about safety and security. It's interesting because I've been to Randy's presentations before, and he's been in our district working with us. But I also went to the district attorney's seminar that he had in June out at SUNY Oswego. And also some school safety and security subcommittees that he's established. And then you watch CNN and you see these different perspectives of what different first responders and emergency preparedness specialists are saying sometimes are different. So it's good to take some of that information and overlay it to what we have. What's our safety and security look like? What are the things that we have in terms of cameras, Navigate Prepared. Navigate Prepared is a perfect example. They're just rapid. They were actually here in the Education Center today. That's a program that we talked about recently a few times at the board table, and they've been in our buildings doing a 360-degree video of what every classroom and office in our district looks like, and that is going to be coupled with some handheld device software that teachers and administrators can all have in a crisis. And first responders will be able to, latent room 212. They can dial into latent 212 and see exactly what the layout of that classroom looks like. So when the first responders come. Another thing that we've done recently is we have what are called knock boxes at all the schools. The knock box has a key for fire, so it's for fire department only, and allows them to open a box. You've seen it probably at the middle school where it's a little black box. They can get into it and get all the necessary keys to get into that building in a crisis. In the last few months, Nancy's been working with the OPD. We provided them with all the keys necessary for all the patrol cars to have the same access. And now
each car has all the keys.
Each car has master keys to get in all the schools. They worked through Nancy to get the number, and now we're working through the DA to make the same availability through the county sheriff's department and state troopers who share jurisdiction at Minetto, so they can have the same thing. And Nancy's working with the DA now and the sheriff and state police too.
The police cannot have the keys to the knock boxes.
Yeah.
Really?
They cannot. It's only the fire department. So I was in a meeting at BOCES the other day. We were doing interviews for a new safety and security officer at a risk officer at BOCES. And the BOCES director of facilities, we were having this conversation because they also asked BOCES for keys for all of their buildings too. And we were having a conversation to say, well, what about if we had another Knox box just for police? Because what happens is when those Knox boxes are installed, we don't get the keys.
No.
They go directly to the fire chief, and they're the only ones with the keys. So we're going to start having conversations to say, instead of having all of these keys out there, And Swipes, we're gonna see if maybe there could be another knock box just for the police installed. It's gonna be a cost to the district, but it might be a cost savings because now we don't have to duplicate keys, we don't have to duplicate that. And since they're not only asking us, I mean, the city police asked us, but the troopers are asking all of the schools in the county, it might be a little difficult to figure out what key you have for which school unless they have a box, so.
I was in a meeting recently with state police, and they talked about that as we develop more secure schools, you gotta remember you're keeping them out as well. And so there has to be, access for the state police or whatever to get into the school, and they can't help. And even though they'll get in eventually, as they said, it can take them a minute, 2 minutes, whatever to get in, that can be the difference, So they talked about fobs they have, but
Yeah, they
that's
talked about that.
little,
Terribles having the pops.
but that's, again, it's 9 districts, so.
Nine district and
Yeah, and how many
most-
cars they have.
Right.
So, I mean, I think these are all, I love hearing all these ideas. I just, just my takeaway from the meeting, and again, like I said, from Oswego, it was only Jim and I that were there, but hearing what other people from other districts were saying too, just kind of got my brain thinking, and just, I'm hoping that this information is then given to each of the principals so that they know all of the things that are going on as well, and then they can pass it down to the teachers, because like one of the questions that he asked was, say you're in a classroom or a teacher's in a classroom and they see someone walk by and they have a gun. Who has the, what do they do? Do they have the right to call 911? And a lot of the people who were sitting there were like, I'm not really sure, am I supposed to? And he's like, what? You wouldn't call the office, would you? Because now you're wasting valuable time. But it was one of those things where he was like, those kind of things, that's why you need to have a safety committee, so that everybody understands, the new teachers, the veteran teachers, the principals, stuff like that. And then the only other thing that he said that made me think is he said, like, in the case of a fire, if you lose everything, technology. He's like, where's your backup go to? Because if it goes to somewhere in your school, that's not a backup.
We do have a
It's gotta go
technology
somewhere else.
disaster recovery plan
Okay.
for that instance.
Okay, awesome. Because again, too, a lot of people sitting there, they were like, not sure where. And I'm like, oh, that is a good question, because not one of those things we really talked about. So just all things I think are important for everybody to be on the same page. So that was that. And then I also too went to the pep rally because I wanted to report on something fun, and that was awesome. It was really cool to see after reading Mike McRobey's reflection on Buck Weekends of the past. It kind of got me feeling nostalgic and looking through my old yearbooks with my kids. And then I was like, I said to my son who's a sophomore, would you be embarrassed if I go? He's like, no, I don't care. So I went and watched the pep rally. And it was so much fun to see how much fun the kids and the teachers were having. And, great job to Mr. Wallace and all of the teachers and staff who were involved in that, because there's a lot of kids and excitement and everything to manage at one time, and everybody was engaged and having fun, and tons of fun, so it was awesome. And the last thing that I just wanted to address is, all of the, controversy over the Palladium Times article and what I said or didn't say, and I just wanted to make it perfectly clear that I never used the words voter ignorance, and was able to have a great meeting with John Spalding and Seth Wallace, and we kind of worked through it, and was very graciously allotted a huge spot for my letter to the editor, as they wanted to be on the same page. We're a small community, and we all need to work together. So I think we're all on a good page, but I just wanted to say that. And if you didn't have a chance to read it, you can read the letter to the editor, which clears up that that those were not my words, and it was not Brandon's words. It was an editorial choice. So so I just want to say thank you for allowing that opportunity and clearing up some of the stuff, and now we move on positively. So that's all I have.
Positive note to Mr. Wallace.
He's in the doorway.
I had to go to the high school the other day to get my son out. He was ill. And the girl at the front desk knew who I was. She still asked me if I was perfect.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's great.
Yeah, I had the same thing at Layton. I was like, okay, I know.
She dressed me by my name, and then, so do you have ID with you? And I'm like, sure.
Yep.
She's still your picture in the post office.
Right next to you, my friend.
Yeah, no, I think
I'm
it's
glad,
great.
you're glad, I'm glad.
At this time, would there be any other items? Would the board and the superintendent have a need to move to executive session tonight?
Yes,
Reason?
real estate and legal.
Could I have a motion, please?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And would there be a need for a vote after the meeting? You may adjourn.